I'll get started just for, I know everybody's kind of time sensitive. So I want to thank everyone. We're really excited. This is our first ever community social, we're calling it, for the Liner Wand. So we're super excited to have everyone here. For those of you who don't know what the Liner Wand is, we are not only a hygiene kit. So we have a liner wand hygiene kit for liners that helps to deep clean and decontaminate the liners, but we're also focused on the community aspect. So we have an online portal for people, a Facebook group, and then also this is kind of our kickoff to our monthly community socials. So for our first kickoff, we're super excited to introduce Melissa. So I think many of you actually on the call know who Melissa is. She seems to be fairly popular in this community, but she runs the Adaptively Abled Amputees, and she's also the newest member of our Liner Wand team. We're super excited. So she's gonna tell us her story today and then talk a little bit about the importance of community. I think you're still on mute, Melissa.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I am so excited and so honored to be here today. And I'm really excited to be joining this amazing team as a new community resource director. So a little bit about myself. My amputation story isn't a one-time event that followed through with an amputation. It's a little bit more of a journey that I've followed. And it started out with being born with a congenital clubbed foot. So when I was born, my toes were actually wrapped around my foot and ankle. And I had several reconstructions as a child. And doctors told my parents to get me involved in sports so I wouldn't favor the leg. And they did. I played soccer, basketball, softball, gymnastics, dance, anything I could do to stay active and to stay flexible and limber. And I excelled both in the classroom and on the courts and field. I was a 3-sport varsity athlete throughout high school.
I remember my password now.
My
I make it a word.
So if we could just mute, thank you. And throughout childhood, my parents never treated me any different. I was just instilled with a really hard work ethic that I just needed to work a little harder to be able to keep up with and compete with my able-bodied peers. I wasn't aware of the whole field of adaptive athletics, adaptive fitness, and adaptive sports growing up. And in retrospect, I wish that I had been introduced to this community earlier on, because I think it would have had a really positive impact on me. Nevertheless, I've discovered the community along my journey, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. So there was a pass ball state tournament game. I was on third. I was the go-ahead run state tournament game as a freshman in high school starter. And I went for it. I decided to steal home, slid with all my might, but unfortunately the plate was raised and my cleat caught the plate head on and completely shattered and destroyed and dislocated my foot and ankle. I had a series of about 16 reconstructive surgeries to try to put everything back together. And I spent a good chunk of my 20s and 30s in a cast and on crutches, constantly rehabbing my foot and ankle and going in for procedures for pain control, multiple nerve blocks, different medications. And I was a constant student of PT and rehab. Despite that, I was able to graduate from the College of the Holy Cross. For any of you that don't know, Holy Cross is on Mount St. James, and it is all terraced. So that's where I got my guns, and I think my ticket to the CrossFit community. I started to build my upper body strength during those 4 years. But I graduated bio pre-med. I attained my certification as an EMT, and I spent the next 5 years after I graduated attaining clinical experience working in the emergency rooms on the North Shore of Beverly and Winchester hospitals. It was great. There weren't any residents or med students, so I was able to actually get a lot of hands-on experience. I worked during the day as a research assistant, and in the field of research, I've worked from mouse work to cellular bench work to vascular genetics, orthopedic biomechanics. Eventually, I started to run diabetes studies, and now I currently work at Spalding Rehab Hospital as a clinical coordinator for the spinal cord injury model system, carrying out long-term research studies on those who have sustained a life-changing traumatic spinal cord injury. So research is very core to my being, and that is my full-time love. Used all of that experience to then embark on a medical mission trip down to a jungle clinic in the jungles of Guatemala. I was enrolled in a Spanish immersion program, and I would work the afternoons in a jungle clinic. It was completely eye-opening. And at that point, I discovered what I thought my first path or my first passion in life would be to go to medical school, because I wanted to work with Doctors Without Borders to be able to help other children that were born with congenital birth defects. So when I had an opportunity to enroll in a US program abroad at Ross University, they had a tropical medicine program. And I decided to pick up everything from Boston in a 60-pound backpack and travel to the little island of Dominica to attend Ross University Medical School. It was everything I had worked for up until that point, and I was loving life. It's a little bit of adventure med school. We needed to go to the farmer's market every Saturday morning by 7 a.m. Otherwise, all the good fruit and produce were already picked over. So 5 o'clock every Saturday morning, we would hike into the little village with our backpack and all of the bags on our body. And we would fill up with fruits and vegetable, guava, tropical fruits. When the fishermen blew a conch shell, we knew that there was a fresh catch at the pier and everybody would run to go get their fish for the week. This Boston city girl was tossed a big fish, and me and my roommates were in my dorm room figuring out how to actually dissect and get meat off of a fish in our dorm rooms. I was excelling in school, and I was really loving living on the island of Dominica. And just when you think you have everything in the palm of your hands, life can throw you a curveball. Less than a year into the program, I woke up with a massive blood clot in my leg, and it necessitated a med flight first to the island of Puerto Rico, where the medical Spanish that I had learned while volunteering at a jungle clinic in Guatemala helped save my life and helped facilitate a med flight back to Boston. Once I was there, I crossed paths with my then husband. It's funny how fate intertwines in your story at times. I don't think I otherwise would have crossed paths with him, because I would have been off on an island, and then before I knew it, in residency programs wherever fate would take me. This is where I tell you a little bit about failure and how it is okay to continue to try. And through each of life, you learn a lot of life lessons when you force yourself to push yourself outside your comfort zone, try something new. And when you fail, you learn more, I think, than when you actually succeed. So I've always been a go-getter and very stubborn. And I had my spot in my class, and they were holding it for me until I finished my rehab. So I spent that next year rehabbing my leg so that I could get to the point where I could return to the island and start the program that I had started. And I get to the island and things are going great, but because I had had a blood clot, I needed to be extra active and mindful so that I wouldn't throw another blood clot. So it was my daily routine to go down to the beach. I would drop my tote bag and my towel and swim from pier to pier for a half hour or so. Came back to the beach, and I took my towel and I dried off every inch of exposed skin. And unfortunately, there were skin burrowing parasites that had crawled onto my towel. And while I was on the island, I got infected with a skin burrowing parasite called cutaneous larva migrans. And there were parasites swimming through every inch of my skin. They couldn't go any deeper than your muscle layer, so they were all topical. And it was absolutely horrific. If I were to pinpoint a low point in my life, I would say that that was probably one of the difficult things that I've been through, even more difficult then an eventual decision for an elective below the knee amputation. I tried to get through that semester, but I was sleep deprived and really sick. And unfortunately, I ended up failing my final by 1 point and had to get on a plane and come home to Boston and figure out what was next for me. At that point, it was probably the lowest point in my journey thus far. And it was also very socially isolating for me. When I had to make the final decision for an elective below the knee, because at that point I had had muscle, nerve, bone, and now vascular damage in that leg. And I was stuck in cycles of chronic pain and stuck in a cast on crutches again once I returned home. It was really depressing, and that was probably one of the lowest points in my life. But my husband took a look at me when we were deciding on whether or not to go forward with an elective below the knee. And he said, you know what, get rid of that ugly foot. It's only been holding you back. And for me, that's all I really needed to hear to know that we were making the right decision. So, excuse my dog in the background. She's really exciting. It's snowing in Mass. And she gets really excited. Oh my goodness. I guess we can't control some of the elements. So I had made the decision to go in for an elective below the knee amputation in April of 2013. And if that month rings a bell for any of you, it was also another major event that happened in Boston. I had just gone in for my elective below the knee, and I was just starting my rehab when the events of the Boston Marathon bombing were happening outside the hospital. And unfortunately, I was stuck in all of that chaos in Boston at that given moment. There were so many people that needed the same resources, and there was a bottleneck for care, for rehab, and for prosthetic care. So unfortunately, as a result, I didn't get the prosthetic care that I needed initially, and my bone started to push through the bottom of my residual limb, and I needed to go in for a major revision where I lost another 6 inches of my leg. That was probably the second lowest point in my journey. I felt like I was stuck in my home, in my body, and it was the most socially isolating experience for me, even more than quarantine. Friends and family that I thought would be there weren't, and it was my husband and I, and we were trying to struggle to find our way. It was at that point that I started I am so sorry about my dog today. She's getting a little vocal. So it was at that point that I started Googling social groups, activity groups for those living with limb loss in the Boston area. And while there were Paralympic sports tracks and some adaptive sports programs and hospital-based support groups, there really wasn't an organization that catered to getting people out of their house and socializing with like-minded peers. So that's when I started my journey to create the support system that I and my husband needed, but also as a result, creating a brand new support system for the greater Boston and New England area. We first started out as a social meetup group called Amp Up Your Social Life Boston, and we would get together for coffee houses and dinners out. We'd have picnics, cookouts, holiday parties. And then we started to attract a larger crowd and people with different physical disabilities. All of my other adaptive athlete friends said that our events were really cool and they wanted to be able to attend them as well. So when I launched the group officially as a 501c3, Adaptively Abled Amputees, we rewrote the mission statement and opened it up to anybody living with a physical disability. The group has grown exponentially over the last 3 years. And I'm very excited to say that after I personally received a scholarship to go down and train at the Adaptive Training Foundation, it's a gym in Dallas, Texas, that only trains adaptive athletes. I was at a point where I had just received a running blade from the Challenged Athlete Foundation, and I wanted to learn how to use it and couldn't find any adaptive trainers in my area to work with. So applied to the Adaptive Training Foundation and was sponsored to go down there and train with them for their 9-week Redefine program. The premise of their program was to push you way outside your comfort zone, to break you down, but then give you the tools to be able to rebuild into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. And they did just that. I rediscovered my inner strength, my resilience, the inner athlete that was inside and laying dormant during all those years of immobility. And I came back more confident and ready to be able to embark on creating a similar community for those living in the New England area. So a year ago, I launched Adaptively Abled Fitness, which was Boston's very first adaptive functional fitness and wellness program for those living with physical disabilities. We recruited over 60 volunteers in the rehabilitation medicine field. We had PTs and OTs. We had MDs that helped with the planning phase of the program. We had exercise professionals of every discipline, and we had holistic health practitioners, a nutritionist, and a yoga and mindset meditation coach. We had guest speakers, and what I'm most proud of is that this was the only program in the Boston area that was completely run by adaptive athletes for adaptive athletes. And I just got the Facebook memory that exactly a year ago, we graduated our very first class of 10 amazing adaptive athletes. Some of them are now on the Paralympic sport track. Others are killing it on the golf course, competing against able-bodied individuals and sweeping the competition. Everybody left stronger and more confident. And honestly, that was probably one of my proudest moments. What I realized is that that inner desire for me to want to create a community fueled my passion to not only create a community for myself, but for the greater Boston and New England area as a result. I have had tremendous mentors along my journey. One is my original mentor, Miss Judy Gray. She's been an amputee for almost 50 years, and she's completely a rock star. She took me under her wing at a time when I needed support most and showed me the power of becoming a member of a community and a tribe. And that is something that I will always take with me and try to foster in all of the programs that I try to offer to the community. COVID has been a definitely challenging time for many, and we were faced with a decision. She is just really excited about the snow. So I apologize about that. Got me a little off track. But during COVID, we had a choice of either completely shutting down or taking a leap of faith and moving into the virtual realm. And through Adaptively Abled Amputees, we've been able to offer 6 to 7 Zoom sessions a week to provide support and an outlet for individuals living with physical disabilities, not only in the Boston and New England area, but because we're virtual, we've been able to expand and offer our services to people all over the US, and we actually have a few international members as well. On Mondays, we run a Monday morning coffee house from 8 to 9 in the morning. On Tuesdays, I teamed up with one of my adaptive athlete friends, James Norris of Handy Capable Fitness, and we've launched a brand new podcast called The Adaptive Collaborative. And we've already recorded season 1. You could follow it on YouTube and on Spotify. It's soon coming to iTunes. It's on Anchor, Breaker, and a few other podcast channels. And we were very privileged to be able to bring on Elizabeth to talk about her own journey and story and about the Liner Wand and the community that the Liner Wand is trying to create for the limb loss community. this past Tuesday. So that should be coming out when we launch season 2 sometime mid-December. So we're really excited about the different endeavors that we've been able to embark on. We also offer a community weekly support group on Thursdays from 8 to 9:30 Eastern Time PM. We also offer a social hour on Sundays. In addition, we've been offering a virtual seated inclusive yoga class to the community, and soon to be bringing right to you some adaptive fitness classes free to the community as well. I'm really excited to see how the community has grown. I've also been very blessed that I've been asked by the Amputee Coalition to run their monthly first Thursday of the month support group. Being a part of a community of tribe of like-minded individuals who have understood what it's like to go through something significant has truly had an impact on me. And I'm hoping to be able to provide that same support for my community. All I ask in return for anybody that I mentor or that's a member of my group is that they then pass it on to the next new member of our community. I've learned so much from the incredible individuals that I've met along the way. Anybody who is a part of this community is truly exceptional. There's a real high cost of admission to the adaptive community, but as a result, we have the opportunity to network and become friends with individuals who have truly exemplified what it means to be strong, confident, and resilient, and to turn tragedy into a success story. So that is my story in a nutshell, and I am so excited to be joining the Lanham team as leading up their community socials. We're really excited to bring some exciting guest speakers on over the next few months. And at this point, I'd really like to turn it over to a question and answer from people who have joined us today. When we created this community, it is very personal and people-centric. We want to make sure that what we're offering to the community is what our community needs. So we're here today as kind of an open forum to get suggestions from members of the community to see what they want this community social to become and what features they would like us to be able to offer in the future to members of the Lanham community.
And feel free, if anyone wants to just put it in the chat as well, I can read off the questions.
I know Beth always has questions.
I was just gonna say.
Question.
Did Melissa's team win the game?
We did. I was the go-ahead runner. We did win the state tournament, and I did make the front page of the newspaper.
Of course.
You know, I don't have any regrets in life, and I don't regret that moment, and I don't regret becoming a part of this amazing community. I think my only regret is that I wasn't brave enough to make the decision for an elective amputation sooner. Going through all of the surgeries and recovery, it really stole my 20s from me. And since I've lost my leg, there isn't a single thing that I haven't tried. I'm an adaptive CrossFitter. I'm an adaptive personal trainer. I've been surfing, snowboarding, ski biking. I'm an avid yogi. There's things that I have tried with only one leg that I would never dare to try with two. So truly, my decision was the best decision that I could have made because it truly gave me my life back, and it gave me a sense of purpose and meaning that I am now trying to fulfill to be able to provide services and programs for the greater adaptive community.
Awesome. Does anybody else have questions or feedback? I mean, I think, so one of our main goals is kind of the offering the resources, but also building the community. So any, feedback that people have on resources they're lacking or different stuff we could do would be me. Oh, Victor has a question. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for sharing your story. Really appreciate that. So my question is, I'm not an amputee, but I started dating someone that's been an amputee for about 2 years, and I'm not very familiar with the community or much about it, to be honest. But I want to make sure that I'm a good ally and good support system. So I was wondering, for me, like it's hard to talk about like, hey, I found this article. What do you think? Because I don't want to make our whole interaction about just that one topic, but at the same time, I want to show that I know I'm not ignoring the fact that you're an amputee, but I want to be able to be there, for whatever you need me.
Victor, that is the very first step. Like the fact that you logged on today to join us to hear the story and learn more about the community will mean so much to the person that you're supporting. There's not a lot of resources for the support systems of amputees as well. So the fact that you took the initiative to come and join us today, it means so much to the community to know that there are individuals like you out there that are trying to provide better support for the community. And I think all you can do is to continue to join events like this and learn more about this community, learn more about the products and about prosthetics in general, about the amputation and recovery process, and then invite the person that you're supporting to come and join us and become a member. It was so socially isolating when friends and family disappeared during a time when I needed them most. And I have gained so much. I have gained a second family from being a part of this amazing community. I have people that I could reach out to if I'm having a challenging day, but I also have a community that will help me celebrate my successes. We like to celebrate a lot of firsts after limb loss. So the first time you get casted, the first time you walk, the first time you try a new community activity, and the support that you receive from this community as you have your ups and downs, because honestly, it is a roller coaster ride. I unfortunately have needed 3 reconstructive surgeries, so 3 revision surgeries following my initial amputation. Come to find out recently, it was as a result of a rare connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that left a lot of my connective tissue weak and lax, which led into a lot of my orthopedic injuries. So there's a lot of ups and downs on this journey. My hope is that people just continue to climb up that mountain with putting one foot literally in front of the other, learning to walk again, and to rediscover their strength and their confidence to continue to push forward. But unfortunately, there are occasionally some setbacks, and it's really important to know that you have a second family of support that you could reach out to on those really rough days, but also to celebrate those little victories daily.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I was wondering if it would be possible to get maybe some links on the chat of like groups or any resources that I can check out and share. That will be awesome. And this is new to me, and the person that I'm dating, it's only been an amputee for 2 years, and sometimes we talk about like, hey, like just do whatever you need to do to be more comfortable. Like he's uncomfortable being in his wheelchair around me sometimes and things like that, but they don't bother me. Like I don't see him differently, and even though I repeat that to him constantly, I know he still has some stuff that he's working through. So I just want to make sure that I'm there without being overbearing. If that makes sense.
I think that makes total sense. It's difficult on a relationship too, because the person that's there for support wants to help, and they want to hover, and they want to throw resources and information at the individual. And as much as we appreciate all of the help, there's also a give and take of us wanting to find our independence again. So I think having the person that you're supporting, just knowing that you're there and that they could ask for help when they need it, it's going to mean the world to them to know that they have somebody they can rely on. and to have somebody that's going to be a partner in this with them.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the advice, and thanks again for sharing your story.
Of
Yeah, and
course.
some of the things that we want to do kind of in our, resource section is put different links, to other groups. So we don't want it to just be about the liner wand. So it's kind of resources to other events that are out there and other Facebook groups and other resources, because it's hard to find all of that in one place right now. So like right now, it's the same thing. People are searching around to find, different events or different groups, and it's hard to find it in one place. So we definitely want to make it more about that, like one place to go to find all of those resources.
And Victor, another great resource for new amputees and their support systems is the Amputee Coalition. They have a tremendous resource center, and you can call with any question and they will reach out to their extended network to make sure that you receive an answer to your question. There's a lot of literature that's posted on their website as well. They also offer a fabulous new magazine. It's called First Step. They literally went in and revised the entire issue, and they have explanations of the whole breakdown from pre-amputation through the recovery process. And they even go into the different types of surgical procedures as well as all the different product parts. So what is a socket? What is a liner? What is a sleeve? What's a pylon? And all the different terminology that's used. So if you go to the Amputee Coalition website, you could request a new limb loss packet to be sent to the person that you're supporting. And it's a really great start for a first step for resources. And we hope to be able to list as many resources as possible. There really isn't one central location where all of the events and all of the resources are listed. And that's what we're trying to create by forming this extended community.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone has other resources they would like to add, send them our way and we'll look at them. Beth, you had a question?
No, just a
Oh,
comment to what Mel said and to Victor. I'm 2 years out as well. And what I had to do is, as that person progresses, they're going to become more and more independent, and they're going to find what they can do and what their limitations are. And what I had to do is sit my family and my very close circle of friends down and tell them, please don't help me. I will ask if I need help. So let me struggle. Let me see if I can do it by myself first. And if I can't, then I'll say, honey, can you help me? I can't do this without you. That being said, I would never try to do something unsafe by myself. If I know that I need help, I'll ask. But my family and my tight circle knows just let her do it. But we had to get there. That was a process in itself. So you have to trust the process, and it's going to move along as fast or slow as that person is able to do whatever it is they are able to do. So trust in the process and just be there and give them a hand when they ask.
Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a
Drew,
really
you had a
good
comment too.
Yeah, just piggybacking on the discussion. I actually wanted to jump in like 5 minutes ago, but I was chewing some well-done steak, and so don't judge me for the steak,
That's
steak
okay.
being
My
overcooked.
dog was
I
going
know.
crazy.
Everyone
So
needs
it
lunch.
happens.
But no, just piggybacking, and I think it was Beth. Forgive me, if I'm mistaken the name. Made an important comment about the struggle. That is a very important aspect of this journey, not just physically, but sometimes the emotional turmoil as well. Going through that depression, like Mel mentioned, and having to work through that, reflecting, doing that introspection, and finding, discovering who you are now on the other side of this life-changing event, whether it's something that was protracted, as in the story that was shared, or something that happened fairly abruptly. Like in my case, it was just a motorcycle accident. I wake up in the hospital and life has changed forever. And so you've got to figure out how to deal with that. And so, it's important to let people kind of work these things out while making sure that they know they have that support system in place. So holding space for them, but not necessarily imposing that support on them. So for me, I experienced that same social isolation that Mel mentioned. And I've come to realize that a lot of it was self-imposed. And so I've felt for the longest time that I wouldn't be accepted in my current state. And so, I kind of withdrew from the communities that I had built around myself up until that point, none of them that had involved limb loss, but nevertheless, I had people around me that were willing to support, that were friends and family. And I kind of withdrew because I viewed myself differently. And it took me maybe 10 or so years to get to the point where I felt comfortable more openly sharing my story. And I found that those same people that I kind of pushed away were still right there waiting with open arms to accept me. And so that may be something, Victor, that your friend is struggling with as well as he's going through his recovery, that, he may view himself differently. I know I certainly did. And I'd be surprised if anyone that has experienced limb loss didn't have a similar story arc where they had to rediscover themselves or find that self-acceptance again. Because it does create all sorts of body image issues. Guys deal with that too. It's not just a female affliction. We have that all the time. And so, just being there to support him. And I think you've got the right approach and not making the basis of your entire relationship about that limb loss and supporting him through that, but just knowing that you see him as just a regular person and that you don't judge him. That was very important for me, to not feel judged or looked down upon or even looked at differently. Even though obviously there are some differences in how we with limb loss navigate the world, but just not being viewed as someone that was afflicted or challenged, but just someone that's got some differences that he's working through, and just knowing that I've got people that I can rely on for that support when I need them, but that they took a very passive approach otherwise. And so they weren't always shoving literature in my face or asking me if I needed a hand with things. That struggle is very important. So I just wanted to underscore that point in particular. And also thank Mel for sharing your story. I related to a lot of what you said, particularly about feeling trapped in your own body. That's something that I experienced during like a 6-month recovery window for myself. And so it's, not able to really walk. And I had some other broken bones related to my motorcycle accident, so I couldn't really crutch around. I was just in bedridden for a long time, and it felt like an eternity. And, the spirit wants to get up and run, jump, lift things and be active, but the body has imposed these limitations, so it can feel like a jail. And so it's nice just to hear that other people have had similar experiences. Not that I would wish that on anyone, but just to be able to relate to others, because some able-bodied folks just don't understand the journey, the struggle, going back to that word, and what it takes to kind of get to a good place within yourself to be able to continue to not only navigate physically, but just be okay and find that place of wellness within yourself. So thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate the Lanham crew for putting this community together. Sorry for being so long-winded. I'll cede the floor at this point, but I'm excited about being a part of this community and how it can evolve.
What great insight. Thank you. Truly. I think another thing to understand is no two journeys are the same, and they don't happen in the same time frame. So you could have 2 below the knee amputees or 2 above the knee amputees who had a similar injury, but their recovery and their journey can be completely different. So I think what's also important is to not try to compare yourself to other individuals. What's in the media a lot are the high functioning, super successful amputees a lot. And when you're first starting out on your path, sometimes it's a little difficult to be able to relate. You feel like, well, I should be able to get up and walk, let alone run. There's other people that are running on running blades. And what's important to keep in mind is that it's a process and it's going to happen in its own time. And the other important thing that I learned along the way is first day I walked into the Adaptive Training Foundation gym, there was a quadruple amputee. He yelled across the room to me, yo, paper cut, could you hand me the weight? And at first I was like really upset. I'm like, how dare? And then I caught myself. And in the whole grand scheme of things, I truly was the paper cut in the gym. I was only missing a portion of a leg. So taking that step back and realizing what you do have and what abilities you do have really helped me along my personal journey. And to take the approach of thinking of something life-changing, not happening to you, but for you. So everything that has happened in my journey has happened for me and has literally propelled me along my journey to where I am today. And like I said, I don't have any regrets. I just regret that I didn't make this decision sooner and be part of this amazing community sooner than I did. There were about 16 years of really suffering with chronic pain with a leg that didn't serve me. To be able to enter this community sooner probably is one of my only life regrets. But everything that has happened thus far has literally led me to where I am today. And I'm finally at a point in my own journey where I'm truly comfortable in my own skin. And I'm proud and confident to be a member of the adaptive community and hope to instill that confidence in others as they start to redefine and rediscover themselves.
That's awesome. Does anybody else have, any questions or comments or feedback? No?
Don't be shy.
I know. You can type it in the chat if you don't want to talk it. All right. Well, Allie's going to pick a winner of the 3-month supply of the liner wand.
It is I, Allie. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you guys for all coming. This is really, really special for all of us. I know we keep reiterating that, but also with Melissa joining our team, she is just the perfect asset that we've been looking for. I myself, I'm enabled body, so I don't really know everything, but it's inspiring to hear it, and it's definitely something that I'm very appreciative of, and obviously Liz and the rest of the team feels the same way. But with all that being said, so I basically just like put a bunch of names in like this little like pile in my lap, and I went like this, and I just like picked it out. So the winner of the kit is Drew. So yay for Drew.
Yay.
So Drew,
Hey.
I will hit you up either off this like Zoom moment here or like on Instagram. We'll connect. I'll get you the kit. I'll send you it your way. We're so excited for you to try. Have you tried it before?
No, I'm still working on the stuff.
No, I get that. I don't want to ruin this lunch for you.
No, I've actually been curious about it. So this comes at a perfect time. You'll probably end up getting
great. I'm excited to hear your thoughts
from this. So, but yeah,
perfect.
this is
I'm
great.
excited for it. And so we'll get that to you, and all will be well, like I said, either Instagram or on here, but we'll definitely be in contact because now you're kind of a part of this forever. So sorry about that. It's a good thing.
Oh, darn.
All right, sweet. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, awesome. Melissa, I don't know if you have anything else or anybody else have any last comments before I talk about our next event. You're on mute, Melissa.
I keep muting myself because of the dog.
No, doing it. It's okay. Oh, Gabriella has a question.
Yes.
Gabrielle.
I'm just going to unmute because it took a while to type it. But my question was, how did you cope with feeling like becoming an amputee took up a lot of time in your 20s? Because I'm currently in my 20s.
Yes. I learned a lot about myself during that process of the struggle and the challenge. And I'm thankful that I was able to be so introspective and truly discover like who I was and what I wanted in life, what my passions were, and then set out steps to pursue them. And the minute I was able to get back on 2 feet, I literally tried every different activity that I could. So if there was an opportunity to go skiing or hiking or biking, yoga, surfing, stand-up paddleboard yoga, although I fell in the water a lot that time, it was still a fun experience. I just went out and started to live life. And I feel like by seizing the moment and really going out there and taking advantage of different opportunities, it helped me come to terms with the fact that maybe my 20s didn't go exactly the way I had planned, but each step moving forward, I had an opportunity to really pursue life. For me, my amputation was a reset button. And what I think is not every person has an opportunity. We live in a very fast-paced society where people are always on the go and sometimes can feel like a hamster in a wheel at times. The wheel keeps turning, and if you don't keep moving forward, you're going to trip and stumble. And most people don't have the opportunity to be able to take a step back and really evaluate what's important to them and what they truly want to pursue in life. Since the age of 4, carrying around my Fisher-Price stethoscope and doctor bag, all I ever wanted to do was to be a physician. But that was not the path for me. And had I not gone through this experience, I wouldn't have had my eyes opened up to the possibilities of being able to provide support and services to the adaptive community. And honestly, I feel like I'm making a bigger impact with the work that I do now than I could have working in the medical system, where I probably would have been frustrated with the system and all the paperwork that comes with it. Here, now, in the moment, I get to live out my passion, and I'm really thankful for that opportunity. So my advice to you is, once you're able to get on the ground, taking those steps forward, truly seize the moment, because with hard work, determination, grit, gratitude, and grace, there really isn't anything that you can't accomplish. And I have witnessed that myself and through those that I've mentored and all my friends in the adaptive community. Whatever you set your mind to, there's a way to achieve it, and you will find it. So just go out there and live life and enjoy every moment.
I know Beth had a comment. Go ahead.
Yep, and just again to piggyback on what Mel said, it doesn't really matter how old you are. I was 57 when I had my motorcycle accident, and I am now 60. And skiing is my passion, and I cannot stand up ski. And when I told my husband I was going to go skiing, he said, "You can't do that." I said, "Well, those are fighting words, aren't they?" And I figured out how to sit ski in 8 lessons. And I'm so excited that it's snowing today, because I can't wait to go. I just can't wait to get back out there. So, I've tried bicycling. I've tried everything that I used to do before I was able-bodied, and I just do it differently. But I've never been afraid to try something. That's just part of my personality. But with being, I'm a left below the knee, it doesn't stop me from trying anything that I want. You just have to figure out how to do it in a way that works for you.
Awesome.
Simple.
I think Cheyenne has a question too.
Yeah, go ahead. I think you're on mute still.
I'm loving
Okay, can
the
you hear me now?
costume.
You're good now. Yeah, I love your costume
Hi.
too.
Thank you. Okay, so I've been an amputee above the knee for the past 4 years. My question is, are there other resources besides the Amputee Coalition as far as like to become adaptive in different sports or activities? And I used to model, and I'd really like to get back into some type of model, whether it's, modeling for like Hanger or some kind of company, showing my prosthesis and everything like that.
So I am looking up a resource. I don't want to butcher it. I believe it's called Runway of Dreams.
Okay.
And it's an inclusive modeling company, and they do different runway shows. A few of my friends are amputee models, and they've been involved in the organization. If you like offline, I could connect you to some individuals that have started to make their mark in the limb loss modeling and adaptive space. And it's been an incredible and empowering experience for them, and I'm sure it will be for you as well. Another organization that I highly recommend is checking out Challenged Athlete Foundation. And actually, their grant season is open right now. Grants are due November 30th. I suggest that you put a little bit of time. It's a cumbersome grant process. You have to write a few essays. You need to show financial statements and financial need, but there are so many resources and grants available. So they have grants available for equipment. So any piece of adaptive equipment, and what I recently found out, we had the director of programs, Travis Ricks, on our podcast a few weeks ago. If you just want a stationary bike or an upright bike, you don't want an adaptive trike or hand cycle, you could put in a grant for any piece of equipment that you feel will get you out there and living a more active life. They have grants for personal training and for gym membership and coaching. They have grants that will help defer travel costs to travel to different events and competitions in the US and abroad. And they also have veteran and first responder specific grants that you could apply for, and those are on a rolling admission throughout the year. And there's also hand cycle and trike grants, and there's also grants for athletic prosthetics and running blades. So those are offered through a partnership between OSER and Challenged Athlete Foundation. So they're a tremendous resource. Outside of COVID, they will have running clinics and different adaptive activities. Obviously, the landscape is a little different these days, but they've done a tremendous job of being able to offer adaptive fitness challenges and different guest speakers. Bob Babbitt, who is the CEO of Challenged Athletes, has had some Facebook Live talks with different aspiring adaptive athletes. So there's a lot of different resources out there. There's also grants that are available through Crossroads Adaptive Athletic Alliance. They offer funding for individuals to then go and train to become coaches to train the next generation of adaptive athletes. So there's opportunities there. There's a whole list, and we're starting to compile them. Those are just the ones that kind of stick out in the forefront of my mind. And if you have an opportunity to check out the Adaptive Training Foundation, they're an amazing organization and literally helped me to redefine and transform my own life. And I've seen it happen for countless others. So if you have an opportunity to give them a follow and check them out, I would highly recommend it. And if you want to get involved with adaptively abled amputees in fitness, please reach out to me. I would love for you to join our community. We have multiple sessions per week. We have yoga, we're adding adaptive fitness classes, and we're moving our adaptive fitness class into a virtual platform to make it accessible to people, not only in the greater New England area, but all across the US and abroad. So those are just my top few, but there are countless others.
Document all of this, because that's kind of one of our goals out of this whole thing, is to kind of put it in one spot so people are able to click on, different index even that are like athletes or models or, above knee, so that, we can categorize it for everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
And also Tommy Hilfiger has an adaptive clothing line. Zappos has adaptive footwear that are coming out. So there's really been a push for more inclusion in the modeling and different companies as being able to promote an inclusive fitness, wellness, and adaptive brand. So there's lots of opportunities. I would love to help connect you with some of my friends who have been killing it in the adaptive modeling space.
Great, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Or any last questions or comments? Victor.
Just a last comment on the recent topic. I would also encourage Cheyenne and just keep your options open, because as Melissa mentioned, you know, a lot of brands are really embracing that concept of diversity and inclusion. So for example, my wife and I, we were just watching that Rihanna Fenty special on Netflix the other day, and she had amputees modeling her stuff on the runway. So, you know, maybe don't just limit it to the adaptive community, but you know, it's a new horizon out here. The game is different.
Agree. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for coming to our first event. I know I just got a few messages. I was looking, a couple people had trouble logging in, but hopefully, you know, for next month we have less trouble logging in. But for next month's event, we are going to do actually more about resources. So the latest resources, and Allie is also on the call. But she is going to be the guest speaker for it. She's an OT, and she's going to talk more about, you know, different resources within the amputee community for individuals. So we're really excited. So that's going to be November 20th. And I know Melissa is running a yoga class right before 1 to 2, right, Melissa?
From 1 to 2.
So I guess our question to you guys is, would it be better if we had the event 2 to 3 or 12 to 1 Eastern time?
Okay, let's see, either raise your virtual hand or your
Comment in the
actual
chat.
hand for 12 o'clock. And let's get a count for 12 o'clock.
Doesn't matter to me. Either one's fine.
Either one's fine. Okay.
I'll go with the majority.
I'm with Beth. Either one is fine with me too.
Okay, and anybody feel strongly about 2 o'clock?
Sounds like 12 it is. Okay, awesome. And then I guess we can go right from that to anyone who wants to join Melissa for yoga after. Good.
Yes, we have one of
Yeah.
Boston's top yoga instructors. Beth has attended some of the classes. She could vouch for him.
Yeah, and I'm not a yoga person, but I'm becoming one. Let me tell you, I am. Do we have to register again for Eventbrite to come to the November one, or are we just get in like we did today?
Yeah, I'll send out a link. So we have everyone's email here, so we'll send it out, and then I'll also send out information for kind of the membership portal where we'll be collecting kind of all of the information and resources. And honestly, if anybody has additional resources they want to share with us that they think we should add, that would be extremely helpful too.
And Allie, since you're here, if you want to just like say hi and just give a little like intro, like spiel about you real quick, because like this is exciting that we have you to like kind of show off or what we're showing up next.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. My name is Allie Lanham. I am an occupational therapist that has specialized in prosthetic rehabilitation and also to promoting adaptive lifestyles for anyone with all abilities. So I'm really excited to partner with Aligner One to offer more resources, but also to kind of be a cheerleader, motivator for individuals with limb loss. While I don't have a limb loss personally, my passion is to shed light on the difficulties that individuals with limb loss face daily, whether that be from a resource standpoint, from a medical standpoint, and just being able to help others live their life to the fullest. And from a medical perspective too, not allowing a diagnosis or someone setting own personal goals for you, but to really promote that you can do anything you set your mind to. So I'm really excited to be on this call and to be a part of this community and hopefully be a resource for you from a therapy perspective as well. But I'm really excited to be here and I'm grateful.
Well, thank you so much, Allie. And also, I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be posting a little bit more about Allie on our Instagram page so that you'll have all of her information and then you can contact her quite easily. I just think that's like the best way to do it because we're virtual, so why not? So that's going to be November 20th at 12 EST. I think that we just made that thing.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds good. We just kind of roll with it. We're like, yeah, sounds good. Let's do it. Why not? But no, it's all.
So we went a few minutes over, but thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And feel free to email or message us with, any additional questions that might come up.
Yeah. Thank you
I just
guys
wanna
so
thank
much. Have an awesome Friday, an
everybody for
awesome
joining
Halloween.
us.
Stay safe, be well, and we'll see you guys November 20th.
Thank you for doing this. It was great.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Have a
y'all
great
so
Thank
much.
you.
This was great.
Thank you for letting me share my story, and I'm so excited to be a part of this.